kind of like Jeff Foster, going around the circuit, saying this and that because she'd achieved some level of awareness. And then she really achieved some level of awareness, and then she had to go back and say, you know what I told you before? Well, you know what? Like Jeff Foster, going around the circuit, saying there we go. Yeah, okay. So yeah, she went back. Um, and I have a interview with her with Renata McNay from Conscious TV, and she's like, "Well, I'm here to tell you that everything I told you the last time I was here was kind of rubbish." And yeah, because what she was saying was that you don't have to do anything. You can just relax. It'll happen. It's going to happen, and there's nothing you can do to help it. But then, she started finding some practices that she realized, oh yeah, there is something you can do. And then she had this realization, which, I mean, shifted her. So I think it's very fun. I love it that we have these great happenings amongst us. Yeah, and she does. She has great energy.
Now, did you see Jeff has changed his teachings where he's not teaching non-duality, really? He's teaching the beauty, I guess, of being fully human, fully divine.
Oh, Jeff Foster? Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then that's what happens. That's why, and I did listen to that Keith Kavanaugh this afternoon, the one from yesterday. And it was just, he's so adorable. And I love how he just, he says, I'm not a guru. I'm not,
Right.
don't look at me like I'm something because I'm not anything that you're not. And that's, that's what Jesus says to us in the Course. He says, I'm the same thing that you are. The only difference is I know what is going on.
Hey, that's
So that
all.
doesn't make us different. I just am aware of what's going on. So I love it.
I
So
thought that Keith, the way he is so humble, like I mess up all the time. That would be that's anyway. Cher, are you there, honey? I think Cher is there.
I'm here. I'm here. I'm just
hi, sweetie.
listening. Love y'all. Love y'all.
All
Oh, I
right.
love that you're coming now. I really do. It's wonderful to have old people back.
All right, so we are streaming live on YouTube. I wanted okay, so Marcy, after our last meeting, had a lot of thoughts. And if I told you that Marcy has a lot of thoughts, I'm going to show you something. I'm going to embarrass her. So, not meaning to embarrass you, but just, these people have got to see what kind of a mind we're working with here with our friend Marcy. And she's you're gonna go through some stuff tonight with us. And all right. This is an email that she sent to me from our last Monday group when we were chatting about this, that, and the other thing. And so this is an email that Marcy sent to me of this just blows me away. You just amaze me. If I can get it to come up. Okay, so let's do the share. My computer is going really slow right now, but I'm sure you don't mind. Okay. This is Marcy sent me an email in response to the things we talked about last Monday. First, there's a video from Ken. There's a bunch of quotes from the Course where she went and watched the whole thing and came up with all these thoughts and ideas and quotes from the Course and different sections where different things are talked about. This and then a video from David Hoffmeister, then another video with Ken Wapnick, then another video with Ken Wapnick, then another video with Ken Wapnick, then I mean, this is how the mind of Marcy works. So so I can personally I have to tell you, Marcy, I didn't go watch all these things, but I was just amazed that you did. and amazed that, you have this idea of seeing the complete picture of things. It's such a gift. And I'm really, really grateful for you for what you're up to. So what do you have to say about that, girl? You're muted, I think. Or else are you on your daughter's computer? Her microphone's not working.
I'd love to hear a summary of that.
I could forward it to you.
Oh, yeah.
I think she has to go get a microphone. Her daughter took her computer, so she's using her daughter's computer. And
Yeah, of course, last Monday did stir some feelings.
yeah,
Gave
yeah,
an opportunity to forgive.
exactly. Yeah, it was wonderful. It's like, oh my goodness, let us use this forum to examine the ego and look at all of its insanity. Uh, there she is. Oh my goodness. Hello, Grace. Uh, It's something when your kid has to show you how to do things and your kid has to do them for you. But that's
It's a computer age.
still don't hear you. Look at the microphone on Zoom and see what the microphone setting is. That little arrow next to the microphone. It's okay. We are all fine here. You can hear us, but we can't hear you. That is so weird. In the meantime, anybody have anything interesting going on that they'd like to share?
I would.
Yes, please.
I just spoke with my doctor. I've decided to continue the treatment because it was so horrendous. But I got what I wished for. I wanted to see the obstacle to love. And I told him this association is underrated. When you could look at something and not get pulled into it. And I says, that's the part I want to focus on.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And he works with me on that. And I says, and I wrote some poetry about it. And he said, oh, I want to hear it. I want to hear it. I says, twist my arm.
Did you just happen to have it with you?
Oh no, I'm gonna bring it.
Okay, I'm like
and we were on the phone. Of course, I was gonna quit the treatment. So he wanted to talk with me. And then I decided, no, I'm being led to continue. So
yeah, and it's the same thing. The body is a machine, and it runs on energy that comes from various different things. And it's all chemistry. It's all chemistry. The brain itself is operated on chemistry. And if the brain chemistry is not set up right, or there's a problem with the brain chemistry, it can put you all kilter for no reason. It's nothing you personally have anything to do with. It just is what the chemicals are doing. And so there's nothing wrong. The fact is, they really don't understand how any of this stuff works.
I know.
They don't know.
Everybody's guessing, right? Everybody seems to be guessing.
Well, I'm using it to go past it. that's my, that's my, I was speaking with a woman from my group who tried the treatment, and she says, no, I feel good for a while, but then it disappears. It's not about feeling good. It's about looking at feeling bad and facing it. And
Exactly.
What's the treatment for?
oh, well, it's for depression,
Okay.
and I've been, well,
Yeah.
we all have our stories, and that's what I loved about today's when I watched on YouTube. We can share our stories, not, and we don't share it as for me, we share it as, yeah, I got through it, even if it was hell.
Well,
I
yeah,
got
I've had
through it.
depression.
Yeah.
You mean the medication doesn't work right now? You're resistant to it?
Uh, yeah, and I'm just being led to do it. I'm just being
What is the treatment? Like, is it like I forget what it's called, the psilocybin or?
Oh, no, Spravato. It's esketamine.
Yeah,
Same
sometimes
kind of thing.
Liz,
That's wonderful.
don't
What?
they take, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but Brooklyn, doesn't that sometimes take time to absorb into the body and work?
Well, I did it for 2 weeks, but
Okay.
I did notice the gifts I got from it. Like it's all how you look at it. Like I said, I was speaking with someone from my group who says, no, it didn't work. I feel good for a while, but see, I wanted to see what I wasn't facing. Of course, I knew there's something, and I saw it, and it scared the hell out of me. but I saw it, and I didn't get pulled into it. So maybe this bravado is working with me, because I did 2 weeks of it, and then I said, no more, no more, but then a week of, ironing everything out, I realized, wait, I'm getting what I want. I wanted to see the obstacle to love, and I saw it. Oh, I saw it, and so I told the doctor, I says, now I want to work on strengthening the part that sees it.
Wow.
Beautiful.
That's
I think that's
beautiful.
wonderful.
And
That's
he's
beautiful.
working with me.
I would,
Awesome.
yeah.
So Marcy, can you hear us and can you speak?
Can I speak? Do you hear me now?
Yes,
Hi,
yes,
Marcy.
yes.
Oh, here come my water bottles.
Thank you, Grace.
Thank you, Grace. Oh my God, she said.
Marcy, you have a young daughter,
Yes, I do.
so you're
She's-
young.
She's 14 and I'm 65.
Ah, well, yeah, that's young.
Me? Okay, if you say so. I try to
Well,
be young.
55 yeah, is young compared to I'll be 70, so it's a little
Okay.
different.
I
Okay.
am 70.
Yeah, so is Lynn, yeah, so it's,
And Lenny too. And
I'm 71.
I'm so
Okay.
happy you're doing this, Brooklyn, because as we age, sometimes our brain does get like, just things change.
yeah,
It has absolutely nothing to do with this. So you just do what you need to do.
I'm being guided to do it. Like I feel
You
it's a
feel
gift.
it in your heart, yeah,
It's a gift.
yeah.
Insurance covers the whole thing.
And
That's
thank
even
you.
better.
Thank you, Brooklyn, for covering for me. I came home and my daughter was on my computer, which never happens, and she's reviewing her life with her friends and they're all laughing. And I really wanted her off because my brain doesn't work well enough that I can adjust to somebody else's whole computer system. Plus, I was sitting in the mess of her computer and finding food all over the table and going, this isn't going to work. And then it didn't work, of course, because she didn't know what to do at some point. Anyway, so here's the thing. Are you able to play that form and content piece by Ken or no?
Sure, of course I can.
Okay, just play that one. And then I want to share some stuff that came up last week because we were talking about suicidal ideation and we had a whole discussion and I was trying to put all the pieces together in my head, which is how I came up with the whole list of things. So I just wanted to go through it. And I have like, I don't know how many minutes now that I've wasted, like 20 minutes.
Nothing is ever wasted.
Okay, well, I didn't waste, yes, Brooklyn had a chance to talk, so that's not wasted, obviously. But
I love you guys so much.
yeah, yeah. Well, this one's for you, Brooklyn, and for me and whoever else.
And for me,
Wait,
because I do feel like it's important to, this
Yeah.
is a part of it.
Yeah, it's you don't put pink paint over feelings.
That's,
Right.
I love it.
Yeah, I want to make this bigger. I guess we don't need it bigger to see.
It doesn't need to be
The
bigger.
theme for today is form and content. This is another of the salient themes of the course, the misunderstanding of which can easily lead to a lot of distortions of students, both in terms of what the course says and also certainly how it ought to be applied in the world. When we speak about form, we're speaking about behavior and the body and the world, anything that we perceive to be external to the mind. When we talk about content, we're talking about the mind. The mind has only two contents. There's the ego's thought system of separation, sin, guilt, fear, pain, suffering, and death, and the Holy Spirit's content, right-minded content of forgiveness, of the miracle, healing, and peace. The only choice that's available to us, in fact, when the Course says the only choice remaining as prisoners of this world is the choice between God and the ego, the Holy Spirit and the ego, forgiveness and grievances. And this always has to do with the level of content. When we speak about purpose, which we've done other times in this series, we're talking about the same idea of content. Right? The ego made up the world of bodies to keep us isolated and identify with the world of form, so the world of mindlessness, so that we would never return to the mind and its content. Right? Again, the ego's whole existence, its very birth, depended on the decision-making mind's choice for it. That's the content of separation. Its fear is that the decision-making mind would recognize its mistake, choose again, choose the atonement instead of separation, realize that the separation from God never happened, and would awaken from the dream, and the ego, the thought system of separation, of individuality and specialness, would disappear. To ensure that that would never happen, it developed its strategy of form, of mindlessness. And throughout the ages, from the beginning of the birth of the ego and the beginning of the physical universe, we have continually, the we being God's separated Son in all of his fragments, have continuously, with almost without exception, been deluded by the ego into studying the world of form, thinking that the world of form, the world of bodies, the very world itself was the problem and contained the solution. The Course's consistent focus is on relationships, because it's in our relationships with people that we find the projections of guilt to be the most manifest and the most powerful and the most seductive in their ability to tempt us away from returning to the mind. So, for example, when in A Course in Miracles, Jesus talks about special relationships, which he does incessantly, and then talks about the correction of the holy relationship, it is always very, very tempting to believe that he is talking about the body and the relationship that I have with the various people in my life, beginning with my nuclear family, as well as with the families I established later on in my life, my circle of friends, my colleagues at work, my relationships with public figures, which obviously is one-sided, but is no less important for us. And we become preoccupied, if not obsessed, with these relationships. And we believe that these relationships are the problem. And so we read passages in the Course, many, many passages, in which Jesus appears to be talking about our relationships on the bodily level, since it's the body that we identify with. It is only much later on, typically much later on in our work with the Course, that we recognize that indeed he's only talking about one special relationship, and that is the decision-making mind's relationship with the ego. In other words, he is not talking about the forms that this original special relationship takes. He is talking about the content, the special relationship with the ego itself. Likewise, when he speaks about the holy relationship, which is the correction for the special relationship, he is not talking about a relationship in form. Always be very wary of people who will say to you, me and this other person have a holy relationship. That's when you should run as quickly as you can the opposite direction, because they are denying the special relationship that would lead them to think that the holy relationship is about form, person to person. right? Which means that what they have denied will inevitably be projected out, and you'll become the victim of their attack. The holy relationship exists only in the mind. It's the decision-making's mind's recognition it has made a mistake that it now seeks to correct by choosing the holy relationship with Jesus or the Holy Spirit as its teacher. This is the critical difference between form and content. We are told in one important passage that the special relationship is the triumph of form over content. The forms of love rather than love itself. And as you read that section carefully, actually it's the choice for completion in chapter 16, you would recognize that Jesus has in mind the special relationships we have formed with our religions, specifically that of Christianity, which made ritual the substitute for the actual experience of God's love. So that in order for us to be truly healed, we have to bring the problem of our special relationships to its source, which is the mind's mistaken decision for the ego. Once we are returned to the mind, having become mindful instead of mindless, we are free then to make another choice. That choice then makes not only our relationship with Jesus, the holy relationship that it is, but now makes all of our relationships holy. And that is how we are all healed as one.
Okay, so I just wanted to read a couple things if I can get this thing working because it's flashing back and forth. There we go.
It's in this email, or is it something else?
Yeah. No, it's everything I need is in the email.
Okay.
So, so I wanted to read this from 28. I'll just read this and then we'll go into lesson 93. And I just want to go through my yellow highlighting and then I'll open it up for discussion. Okay, I'll read this. The body is released because the mind acknowledges this is not done to me, but I am doing this. And thus the mind is free to make another choice instead. Beginning here, salvation will proceed to change the course of every step in the descent of separation until all steps have been retraced, the ladder gone, and the dreaming of the world undone. Now, I was thinking when we got off of group last week that we had basically come to a little clash between the topic of suicidal ideation and the topic of, talking about that might be inappropriate, and maybe you need some social services, those of us who, have had certain things happen in our minds. Social services or possible hospitalization or medication and this and that. So I'm thinking, okay, that's form. But then I'm also thinking the suicidal ideation is of the ego. So that's also form that we're talking about. This body pains me, or this mind pains me. I don't even want to do this anymore. That kind of thing. So it came to me that we were kind of in a struggle, but we were struggling about the same thing because it was really all ego stuff. And then I wonder if anybody wants to read like the first paragraph for lesson 93, light, joy, and peace, because this is the first lesson I ever remembered because it was so about me. So I don't know if is there anybody willing to read the first one?
Sure, I'll read it.
Okay.
And it's funny because other people talked about this same lesson today.
Okay.
It's like we are all one mind. Lesson 93. This is one of my favorite lessons too. And when I read it, I was like, oh my God, Jesus knows me. Now I know this is true. This book really is saying something to me. So lesson 93, light and joy and peace abide in me. You think you are the home of evil, darkness, and sin. You think if anyone could see the truth about you, he would be repelled, recoiling from you as if from a poisonous snake. You think if what is true about you were revealed to you, you would be struck with horror so intense that you would rush to death by your own hand, living on after seeing this being impossible.
Yeah, that was the first time that he got through to me. And I read that to my husband once, and he said, his response was so funny because he said, "Don't tell me what I think." I thought that was hysterical. I'm just gonna go, I'll just read the yellow highlights at this point, because Lynn, can you send this whole thing to everybody?
Sure, I'd be happy
Okay,
to.
yeah, if you just forwarded it, you don't have to do it now. These are beliefs so firmly fixed that it is difficult to help you see that they are based on nothing. Today we question well, I have to read that whole thing. That you have made mistakes is obvious, that you have sought salvation in strange ways, have been deceiving, and are afraid of foolish fantasies and savage dreams, and have bowed down to idols made of dust. All this is true by what you now believe. And then he talks about today we question the belief. And in paragraph 4, why would you not be overjoyed to be assured that all you're moving and I can't? Where are we?
Sorry,
Oh,
right
God,
here.
Lynn. Oh, okay, wait. Yeah. Why would you not be overjoyed to be assured that the evil you think you did was never done, that all your sins are nothing, that you are as pure and holy as you were created, and that light and joy and peace abide in you? Your image of yourself cannot withstand the will of God. You think that this is death, but it is life. You think you are destroyed, but you are saved. The self you made is not the Son of God. Therefore, this self does not exist at all. And anything it seems to do and think means nothing. It is neither bad nor good. It is unreal and nothing more than that. It does not battle with the Son of God. It does not hurt him nor attack his peace. It has not changed creation nor reduced eternal sinlessness to sin and love to hate. What power can this self you made possess when it would contradict the will of God? Your sinlessness is guaranteed by God. Over and over, this must be repeated until accepted. It is
I'm gonna
true.
move it.
Okay. Wait a minute. Okay, it is true. Your sinlessness is guaranteed by God. Nothing can touch or change what God created as eternal. The self you made, evil and full of sin, is meaningless. Your sinlessness is guaranteed by God. Light and joy and peace abide in you. Salvation requires the acceptance of but one thought. You are as God created you, not what you made of yourself. Whatever evil you may think you did, you are as God created you. What mistakes you made, the truth about you is unchanged. Creation is eternal and unalterable. Your sinlessness is guaranteed by God. You are and will forever be exactly as you were created. Light and joy and peace abide in you because God put you there. And then I put in, and for myself in the purple note, this is the you outside of all form. This is not the you that I think I am when I'm down in the dumps and, thinking about the body and all of that. Let's see. Oh, and just in towards the end, I think the important thing to me was one self is true, the other is not. You are what God created, or you are what you made, but you can't be both at the same time. You want to scroll down a little bit? Because people can read the rest of that. Keep going. Keep going, Lynn, all the way. I just want to read. So here, on the real alternative, this is another place where he's talking about, I noticed when Ken was talking, he mentioned the two places where like that suicidal ideation is mentioned, or suicide. So men have died on seeing this. So I wanted to read that, look that up. I'll just read. Does anybody else want to read the first paragraph and second paragraph? But not Lynn. We'll save Lynn for paragraph 3. Otherwise, I can read it. There is already a tendency to think the world can offer a consolation and escape from problems that is its purpose is to keep. Why should this be? Because it is a place where choice among illusions seems to be the only choice. And you are in control. Let's see, am I right here? Yeah, and you are in control of outcomes of your choosing. Thus you think, within the narrow band from birth to death, a little time is given you to use for you alone. Time when everyone conflicts with you, but you can choose which road will lead you out of conflict and away from difficulties that concern you not. Yet they are your concern. How then can you escape from them by leaving them behind? what must go with you. You will take with you whatever road you choose to walk along. Real choice is no illusion, but the world has none to offer. All its roads lead to disappointment, nothingness, and death. There is no choice in its alternatives. Seek not escape from problems here. The world was made that problems could not be escaped. Be not deceived by all the different names its roads are given. They have but one end, and each is but the means to gain that end. For it is here that all roads will lead. However differently they seem to start, however differently they seem to go, their end is certain, for there is no choice among them. All of them will lead to death. On some you travel gaily for a while before the bleakness enters, and on some the thorns are felt at once. The choice is not what will the ending be, but when it comes. Okay, Lynn, go for your drama here because you're going to read this better than me.
I'm just loving this, Marcy, and because he's really talking what is the real alternative here, and we think we don't have a choice of anything, but we really do. So, okay, so here we go. There is no choice where every end is sure. Perhaps you would prefer to try them all before you really learn that they are but one. And I just want to say about that, that's what we do in this illusion. We keep coming back, go try this one, it didn't work, come back, go try this one, it doesn't work, go back. I mean, the whole thing is, you're born, you live, you die, you go through all these scenarios and try to figure things out. And, the whole time you're just spinning your wheels because you cannot move forward. There's no forward in a place where there's no space, no time. So, we think that we're able to learn something or something, but honestly, we're just spinning our wheels. So, there's no choice where every end is sure. Perhaps you would prefer to try them all, but before you really learn they are but one. The roads this world can offer seem to be quite large in number, but the time must come when everyone begins to see how like they are to one another. Men have died on seeing this because they saw no way except the pathways offered by the world, and learning they led nowhere, lost their hope. And yet this was the time they could have learned their greatest lesson. All must reach this point and go beyond it. It is true indeed, there is no choice at all within the world. But this is not the lesson in itself. The lesson has a purpose, and in this you come to understand what it is for. So this is so beautiful because he's pointing out to us, no, this is just as we were listening to Keith. I think Keith was saying this, Keith Kavanaugh, that which I say this all the time. I don't know why I'm quoting him saying it, like he's some expert. I'm not. That it's a movie and we're watching the movie and we can't change the script. The movie's already done. So all the choices that we make over and over and over really have to come to the point where we're looking to see what is the lesson here. The story is going to be the same thing over and over and over again until I learn the lesson that is in every single the same lesson is in every single one of these scenarios that happen. The lesson is, as we read earlier, that we cannot change what God has made. God made what is, and we cannot change. There's no way I can change it. That's the lesson, that there's no reason for me to think that anything needs to be different. Let all things be exactly as they are, because honestly, there's nothing you can do with any part of it. And what do you do when you find yourself in a desert? You leave. And stay here and say, oh, let me just analyze the desert while I'm dying of thirst here. You leave, you get in your air-conditioned car and you drive home. But anyway.
Well, I think one of the really powerful lines in this paragraph is almost reach this point and go beyond it. Because I got to a point and then I kind of tripped and fell and rolled around for a while and disappeared, and wanted to hide out. And then I realized, oh, all of us must reach that point. And it's a very humbling, to me, it's very humbling to think I was right all this time. Marcy was right. She knows which way to go and this and that and the other. No, Marcy doesn't know too much.
Brooklyn, did you have your hand up?
Yep. Namaste, mighty companions. You know, I don't express myself well when I talk. I write better than I express myself. Monday, I wanted to talk about the gift I got. But it turned to suicide ideation. That was okay, like Dove wrote, we should be grateful for all the situations that make us feel uncomfortable. Use everything. That's one of my mantras. Because without them, we would not know there is something unhealed within. Now, I knew there was something unhealed within. Of course, I was getting that, even though, and like someone had said Monday, well, I live in the world, but I'm not of it. That pissed me off. But, like I'm ego still, I still deal with that. But yeah, I don't know how the topic got that way. But what I want to express, I'll write it again. About okay, like here's one. I call it love poem. Be with what is, there are no problems. This is said as I shake. Trembles okay, welcome to sync, as flow in harmony of the authentic. Yeah, it really bothered me that the topic went that way, but there were no mistakes. This is, I have a little problem expressing myself, but it isn't a problem because I don't know what anything is for, but I express myself better with my writing. But anyway, I always say use everything. Everything is a gift. Like when I saw that horrible thing, why it was playing in my mind, even though I knew better, well, it was kind of like I have to accept it before I move forward. And I did accept it, but I was guided to move forward, some like but anyway. See, I'm stumbling on my words again, but I hope you understand. I just try to use everything. And sometimes, yeah. Oh Lord, please don't make me be misunderstood.
I thought what you were sharing was very powerful, and it was helpful to me. So you don't know what you're going to share that will be helpful to somebody else. So yes, I think it was kind of in the moment, it was kind of confusing that all that was happening at the same time. But that's why I got so focused. I wanted to look up the quotes and find out what's going on here, because I was stirred up about why was that so bad, what just happened. And when I realized it was both talking about suicidal ideation and talking about how you need to handle suicidal ideation, and where is talking about suicide appropriate or inappropriate.
Uh-huh.
That's all about form. And that's really not the goal of the course, but we live in form. So yeah, there are some practical things we can do with anything. And there's also the spiritual side where we get in touch with our feelings and we let them sit there and we look and we ask for help, you know. So it was all happening at once, but it was happening so fast that I needed to kind of lay it all out.
No,
So
I appreciate it so much, you know, but that was only a small portion of what I was trying to bring out.
right.
And somehow it latched on to that. Well, there are no
Right.
mistakes. There are
You
no
never
mistakes.
actually got to say what you were saying. Never actually told us what your thing was. And that's what bugged me, is like, how did this get so out of
I
hand?
know. I
But,
Yeah,
know.
you got hijacked.
Yeah,
exactly.
hijack. That's a good
Sharon
word.
has her hand up, and so does Dove. So Sharon, why don't you go ahead? Let's hear what you have to say.
Okay, I was going to say, Brooklyn, what you shared was perfect. I thought it was so perfect. You know, again, you know, when the ego gets in there, it's talking to itself. So I feel like you came from clarity, you were clear, and you don't know how much you're helping people that are afraid to talk about mental health in here. You know, I had things happen over the years and I wouldn't come into a course group because I was afraid. So I think it's so wonderful what you're doing for everyone. And your writing is on a high level. So all of this is working perfectly in you. I see that. But I think that the idea that you bring this to the table, and Marcy, thank you for this lesson. This one lesson, when I was reading it from the ego, you're reading it from the guilt. And this one lesson really shook me up because when I was in depression, I did feel that way. I did. I felt exactly like this. I felt I was terrible, blah, 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 blah. And I didn't have just one depression, I had a couple. So what I'm saying is that I think that now I'm reading it from clarity and it's so different because you have to get out of the idea that you're a body. That's the whole point. And that happens organically. In fact, this whole process is happening perfectly. And I just thought what you said was beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. Dove, please go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to say the same thing that everybody else here is saying. It sounds like you're judging yourself, and of course, it's not you, Brooklyn, who's judging yourself. It's the ego, but you listen to it like it means something. I mean, you know, I put this up a few times recently from page 54, text chapter 4. Your worth is not established by your teaching or learning. Your worth is established by God. Now, what does that mean by God? Do you have any understanding of what God means? I don't know.
What is real can't be threatened. And what's real is love.
Okay, so my understanding of God is love. So, so love created you perfect, and you listen to this voice that says, I don't speak so well. What is that going to do with anything? What is that going to do with anything, really? I mean, if you take that seriously, you're listening to the ego. If you're laughing at it, you're not listening to the ego anymore because the ego will always judge you. You're never good enough for the ego, ever, ever, ever. You can't do right by the ego. You only do right by remembering that love created you and smile at the ego and said, bye.
Exactly.
You got to laugh, really.
And love created you like itself, and you are love. That's the thing I have to keep remembering. I just was yesterday just looking at how much people love me. And, I mean, I was really looking at it and realizing there's a lot of people who really love me. And I must be an okay person. If a lot of people love me and I don't have to be anything that I'm not. So, that's when you recognize that you're lovable because you see other people as lovable, that's God. To me, that's God. Um, let's see. Karen and Marcy both have their hands up. I don't know who was first, but one of you knows. So go ahead, Karen or Marcy.
Karen, you can go.
Okay, thanks, Marcy. Thanks for this too. And thanks everyone for your shares. And I agree with everything that was said. And Brooklyn, I love you. And I love when you share. And the ego, like this, like when Marcy played the tape of Forming Content by Ken, he said that the ego thought system is sin, guilt, and fear. So it's always that guilt that comes up. Oh, I'm not good enough. Oh, I don't speak too good. Oh, that's the ego thought, like Dove said. And it's vicious and it's terrible and it's not the truth. So it's good. Like you said, you're recognizing with this depression, you're recognizing what the problem is. You're looking at it. And we recognize this ego thought system by looking at it. That's not what I wanted to share, but I just wanted to share that because I just wanted to tell you how much I love you and everyone. And also, this was great, Marcy, because I love everything you chose tonight. And suicide is very close to my heart. My husband committed suicide in 2010, and I wanted to commit suicide. I went through a very, very deep depression. I didn't, and I was too much of a coward, to be honest with you. So I look at suicide as bravery. I do. I really think it's a brave thing to do. And I also, with this paragraph that you picked in the Real Alternative, I love what Lynn said that, we can't change what God made, but also the other thing that comes to me is that when he says that all must reach this point. The greatest lesson that they learn is that there is no choice within this world, that the only hope is in the mind, that there's nothing in this world that'll bring us hope. And my husband committed suicide. A lot of it was because of he thought there was, no hope in this world, and that it was all about the world and what was happening outside of him. And he didn't recognize he had the power in his mind. And I'm just led to go to the dreamer of the dream. In chapter 27, paragraph 11, he says, what choices can be made between two states, but one of which is clearly recognized? Who could be free to choose between effects when only one is seen as up to him? An honest choice could never be perceived as one in which the choice is split between a tiny you and an enormous world with different dreams about the truth in you. The gap between reality and dreams lies not between the dreaming of the world and what you dream in secret. They are the same. So we're projecting this whole world. We don't realize, I realize, and I think all of us here realize it, but most people who don't really know that they made this world and these thoughts aren't true, and they're projecting all of it, don't recognize that the only hope is in the mind and changing the mind. That you can recognize that there is another choice. And that's what it's for. The lesson has a purpose. And in this, you come to understand that you have the power. The power of decision is your one remaining freedom as a prisoner of this world. Thank you.
I was going to share on, and I'm going to lower my hand before I forget. I'm working with Keith about once a month. And I was sitting here while you're talking about Keith, Lynn, and I'm like, yeah, what did we talk about? We just talked last week. I'm like, what was it? And what happened was, it was almost like the same thing as today, where I wanted to pay him. I couldn't pay him. I couldn't figure anything out. For some reason, I've paid him before. It's not been a problem. It's always a problem, but whatever. And then he said, oh, you can go on PayPal. I'm like, I can't go on anything. I can't figure out how to do anything on the computer. I don't know what I'm doing. So by the time, and then I said, please, can you just meet with me without me paying now? And I'll get one of my kids or my husband to help me put that stuff through later. And he did. And by the time I got on, I was in tears. And he's fine. And I had already missed, God, I can't remember if I missed one or two. I missed 2 sessions with him because I forgot, because I've got this memory issue and all this stuff. And I wanted to pay him at least for one. So I'm like, please let me just charge me double and then I'll feel better. And he said, the whole lesson that we worked on was there is no meaning here. And if I paid him, it would be me putting meaning on, oh, Marcy was bad. She she didn't pay, she forgot to come, blah, blah, blah. And so it was very kind to hear all. I mean, I just was amazed at how patient he is with me. And I begged him, please send me the payment stuff the night before. And he's like, I do that every time. And I'm like, I didn't know. So
Well,
it's just goofy stuff.
I doubt that Keith is very concerned about your payments. So
Right.
I'm
I
sure
doubt
he's
that
much more
too.
concerned about you and as a person and your situation than
Right,
anything to do
right,
with that. But yeah,
right.
that's interesting. How long have you been working with Keith?
I've done a couple months, but he's willing to take some, like he would work with somebody every day. He would work with somebody once a week, once a month, whatever your schedule is that you want. And then there's me who forgets. So I have to get everything on the calendar and focus. It's just been hard for me. But yeah, so it was amazing to feel that. And he was talking about what it's like to feel when you give no meaning to anything. Can you imagine? Can you taste that? What would it feel like? What would it be like to not actually have to slap a meaning on something? So I thought that was really cool. And I have no idea what I have left in my little collection of
There's a
readings.
lot of stuff. I'm going to
Yeah.
forward all that to
And
everybody
there's
because
lots of little videos to watch. And the one with Hoffmeister is actually quite funny. I don't usually hear him, but he's very funny in
he
this
is
one.
very funny and very sweet guy. And
Yeah,
I feel bad for all what's happened with him too, but
yeah,
that's that's why I don't involve myself with money.
yeah,
I don't, if you want to send me money, that's cool, but I'm not asking anybody and I'm not expecting it. Because for me, it just it just puts you too much in a place where you start thinking you deserve it or that you need it, or forget that, the Holy Spirit, we're given everything that we need. There really is no need that is not being supplied. So, why would I worry about, anything like that? And I'm always just thrilled, really surprised when I do get donations, and some folks in this room, are pretty regular with that, and it makes me just so feel so loved again. And not that getting money from people makes me feel loved, but but that people are thinking about me and wanting to contribute to making this thing work. That makes me really happy because I don't need money. I'm on my, I get everything that I need, and the only thing I need money for is to pay for this stuff. So, I really, I always appreciate every bit of it and everything that everyone does to help me. So, um, but, and maybe, I would suggest that to anybody, you know, just stop thinking about money and just start teaching what you're given to teach, because the Holy Spirit's going to take care of you. You're taken care of no matter what. So, just, don't think about it. And, then you'd be surprised. In fact, what happens, I think, and I think, I've heard Jacob Glass say this too, and I'm a huge fan of Jacob Glass, is that when you put a price, like say, $30 for an hour or whatever, you put a price, what you're doing is you're limiting what can come to you. You're limiting the abundance that could come to you. Someone might want to send you way more than that. But, if you just say, $30, then that's what you're going to get. So for me, it's the thing I'm just like, don't tell anybody anything. And then just be surprised. And believe me, I'm just sitting here looking at, several surprises that I've gotten from people. And I'm so grateful for it. Anyway, anybody else have anything they'd like to share?
I was going to ask Marcy, how much does Keith charge?
I think it comes to, it's like 87 and 80, somewhere around there, because is he doing euros, or I don't know what he's doing, but he translates it, so I'm paying about 80 or 87, I don't know, which is why I only see him once a month.
What is that, an hour, Marcy?
For an hour, yeah. Yeah, it's very much worth it, I can tell you that.
Hey, if you have it, it's worth it.
Yeah, and I wished I had known, I don't remember if I heard about Keith before I had my issues or after, when things got really rough. But it's really helped now. It helps to talk to him.
I love
And
it.
something in me keeps forgetting to turn on the program on Sunday, but you can hear all of his stuff on what is it, the Facebook page? Is that his
on the
Facebook
Facebook
page?
and on YouTube also. He
Oh
puts
yeah,
stuff-
and YouTube. Yeah, you can
YouTube.
catch all the stuff. He's gonna say the same exact things everywhere he is. Whether
Yeah,
he's talking to you, but it helps to have him say it to you. Because I
Yeah.
think I'm a you.
yeah.
And I'm like, okay, you're saying the same thing. I get it. And then he asked me, I actually got all the questions he asked me correct. So that
Oh,
he could
gosh.
actually go, so he could go further in his discussion. Otherwise, it's like, well, wait a minute, now we got to back up. You know?
That's funny. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah.
So did you ever, I'm gonna stop this YouTube.
Okay.
Thanks everybody for joining us, and I'm so grateful for